January 15th, 1929, an historic day as a young man, a young boy, Martin Luther King Jr. We know him as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., born and celebrating his birthday on the 15th of January, the third Monday of every month in the U.S., and it happened to be on his actual birthday yesterday. We don't have it as a national holiday in Canada. Lawmakers, get on that. One of the world's great humanitarians. We should be celebrating and teaching that here in this country as well. And I look around the room here to people of African descent, two Jamaicans, a female, somebody Filipino behind the camera, majority culture. Dr. King would be proud looking at this room of the diversity and the way we're going. And I always say, it's kind of like a marathon, 42 kilometers, 26 miles, 385 yards. When you've run halfway, you've run a long way, but there's still a long way to go. And I think we're all touched by the NBA. They are the most progressive league when it comes to trying to level the playing field when it comes to inclusivity, equity, diversity, and in Dr. King's vision, Ashley, including everybody in the mix.
Yeah, and I think also allowing people to express themselves in their truest form as well as the NBA does that, right? And the players, which is a beautiful thing to see, are allowed to speak up for injustices, which was a big component of Martin Luther King's journey and his legacy, to be able to say, hey, that's not right for A, B, and C reason, and I'm not going to stand for that. And it's a brave thing to be able to do, because to go against the grain or to push against the majority, it takes guts, and it's not often received well in the moment.
No, it's not.
It often ages well, depending on what it is and depending on, the times, but to be able to sit there, stand up for something that you believe in, and have people around you in terms of the NBA support you, and that's something that they represent in a lot of ways. I think it's a beautiful thing to see.
He spent some time in jail for that.
Yeah.
And Sherm, we're all fortunate to have Mr. Embry, Wayne Embry, the first African-American general manager around. And Wayne told you and I the story of his wife, his late wife, Terry, going down with the Freedom Riders. He says, "You're not going." She says, "The hell I'm not." Yeah, you stop me. And that's the kind of spirit that Dr. King evoked from people.
Well, yeah, and when somebody has that type of, I think, draw because of the message, they force you into action.
Yes.
And that's what he did to so many people across the world. And you think about it, the concept is very basic. It's very simple. Just treat people with respect the way you'd like to be treated.
Yeah.
Don't be rude. Don't be disrespectful. Don't hurt people. It's pretty basic. Yeah. But yet it's such a problem even till today. And I might butcher his line, but, it's always the right time to do what's right.
Yes.
Some variation of that.
Yeah.
Just think about that, how basic it is. Is there ever a time where doing wrong should be the option? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all he's trying to emphasize. Treat people with respect, equality for everybody, and be there, help people.
Yeah.
Empathy, sympathy for people. And to me, Dr. Martin Luther King gave his life for that. The ultimate sacrifice for his belief. And when somebody does that, you have to respect them, because that's the kind of stuff that is changing the world still today.
Yeah. No, it's profound. I mean, he one of his other lines that also resonates with me is, our life on this planet is measured by our service to others. Like, what are you doing to try and help? And again, Sherm, like you said, that was another thing he was able to live out. And I look at the NBA, making it a holiday and highlighting it, even as simple as putting shirts on each team with his quote, the one that you just came back with. And I think it's great that the athletes can use this platform and not abuse it, but use it to point out that these are things we have to do better, Sherman.
Well, yeah, and you think about it, I mean, the league is majority-minority.
Yeah.
So the idea is understanding that part of their being there is because of people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And you can't move forward without understanding, respecting, and paying homage to your past.
Yeah.
So there's no question the NBA does a great job acknowledging it, and they should. And then I think players, especially the more veteran players, continue to disseminate the message to the younger players. Listen, all this money, all this fame, all this opportunity, this resource, it didn't happen by accident. People spilled their blood for this to happen.
Yeah.
You need to respect.
I think when the bill was passed, the Civil Rights Bill, I believe Dr. King said, this isn't just a victory for the black person. This is a victory for everyone. And when I look at the NBA now,
but everybody didn't understand.
They didn't at the time.
Yeah.
As Ashley said, things age well because I look at the NBA now with its diversity. Is there a staff that doesn't have at least one female coach? We have female presidents. All of these things, and I think again, referring to our little room here, our little studio, I think it's something Dr. King would be really proud of, Ashley.
Well, two things as well. It's not a given that organizations are going to be supportive of things that their players care about, right? We see what happens in the NHL, and they're actually pulling things back because it's controversial. So it's not a given that the NBA does this. So to your point, it's a very good thing that they do. But even still, like, your point's so well made, Sherm. It's like treat how people you want to be treated, respect others. It's the things we teach children when they're 3 years old.
Basic stuff,
right?
Yeah.
And honestly, with everything that's going on right now, it couldn't be more important to have that perspective and just take a step back and say, hey, listen, this is literally the very least that I could do. Maybe I can find ways to put it into practice on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's like that book. Everything I learned, everything I needed to learn, I learned it in kindergarten, right? The way you treat people. The NBA, a terrific job. And to Ashley's point about other leagues pulling things back, I talk about the marathon of life. The NBA's got their shoes on and they've run halfway. I think the NFL is in the race. Baseball is got their shoes tied and they're starting to run. And hockey's still kind of tying their shoes and trying to get in there. That's just my analogy. Sherm talked about the veterans. The Raptors have a guy that's played for, I believe, 13 teams in the NBA. Garrett Temple, guy that battled his way through the league. He had a great message at the start of the Raptor game yesterday.
Realize that the time is always right to do right.
Fans, please welcome to the court your Toronto Raptor, Garrett Temple.
Good evening, everybody. Today, we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I understand it's not a national holiday here, but it is in America, and we appreciate you guys celebrating with us. As a civil rights leader, Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to fighting for equality. His civil rights leadership, yes. His lessons of mutual respect resound now more than ever. So let's remember what is written on the back of all of our shirts right now. The time is always right to do what is right. Let's go.